What's going on? We have been starting off 2025 to a real good start, and I've been making a ton of beats just like this one. So I use the Ableton Push 2 and a very specific workflow to get this done. You see a lot of audio tracks, and I'll explain why throughout this video, but basically I've been using the Push 2 since it came out 10 whole years ago and have been a believer ever since. So today I wanted to show you the workflow I've been using to make this beat and tons more like it to really get the most out of the Ableton Push, and why it is still, after 10 years, one of the best controllers on the market for Ableton Live. So let's make a track on the Push 2 using as minimal mouse and keyboard as possible, and I'll show you what has been working for me and hopefully give you some tips along the way. Let's get after it. Alright, so I'm going to do some preliminary mouse and keyboard work. Just open up a new live set. We don't need to save any changes. And I'm just going to delete everything so that we're starting from blank. Here we are on our MIDI track, and let's do this thing. So first things first, I want to start off with some drums. So we're going to start by chopping those up and sequencing them. And for this, I will load up a drum break into an empty simpler. So I'm going to add a device. That's going to be an instrument simpler. And we'll do the empty one. So I really love using the simpler on the Ableton Push, and you will see why in just a second. Right now we're going to press browse, and we're going to switch to sample mode. You can switch between loading devices and samples. So in device mode, that will just give you a bunch of different samplers to choose from, but we just want to load a sample into the simpler. So let me find a sample to work with really quick. All right, I think we're getting close to some drums. All right, this could work. So we're gonna go ahead and load that up, exit the browse mode, and now we have the simpler. So this is really a great way to chop samples. If you didn't know, you just head over to the slicing mode, and then we have some different slicing options. Right now we're slicing by the transient, which is probably best, for the drums. We can also choose to slice it by beat, and then choose a subdivision to slice it on. And we can also make regions. So we can choose, if you have a 16 bar loop, you can choose to make 4 regions, one for each bar, so on and so forth. I think we'll just do manual right now and try to get some good hits. All right, so we've got a few different hits there. You can see when we're in manual mode, we can go ahead and just tap the pads to add a slice. And it looks like I have quite a bit of latency with this setup, so let me fix some of those slices real quick. All right, so we've got these 3 basic chops here, and that's going to be enough for us to start laying down a pattern. Let's set a fixed length of 4 bars, looks good. We can also hold down the metronome to set a count in. This all looks good to me. And then we can just hit record to record into the session view on a new clip. And I just realized that we actually don't want to do that because our tempo is not set. We probably want... looks like somewhere around 92. We'll call it 93. And you know what? Let's just start sequencing this in. So we can hit the layout mode to go to 16 velocities, and then we can select one of these velocities and start inputting the notes. All right, so I kind of like this first part. It's not too bad. So we'll come over to the clip, make the loop length 2 bars, and from here we'll double the loop. So now we have that whole pattern. And we're still at 4 bars. All right, so this is groundbreaking stuff. Let's go ahead and add a track. And now I'll show you where the workflow really takes charge. So we're going to go ahead and add a MIDI track, and we will add a plugin. And to start off, we'll just go with like a basic piano. Yeah, this should be fine. So from here we can set a scale. I'm feeling like B minor. We'll go ahead and try that a bit. And I don't need it in chromatic mode right now because I'm just going to do some triads probably. And so yeah, so I think I like something like that, but I'm not actually happy with the drums. So let's go ahead and just edit this real quick. All right, so I fixed the drums, and I think this chord progression will work. So let's go ahead and record that in. All right, so now is where the beauty of this workflow comes in. We are going to add an audio track, just a default audio track. And we're going to go ahead and head over to the input and routing by hitting the mix button twice. And here we're going to set the input coming from our MIDI channel over here. And so what this is going to allow us to do is resample. So now we're going to record arm the audio track. And because we already have the fixed length set up, it should be good to go. We're going to hit record, and you'll see we're going to record this MIDI into audio to kind of commit that. And so now we have that committed to audio. So what I like to do is take the audio version, which is this guy, put it on a new track, and we'll go ahead and rename this chords. Good to go. And so our audio is set up to resample again. And then I like to take this MIDI clip, put it down here, and then just stop it from playing. And now we are ready to keep on recording. Let's organize this in a way that makes sense. So basically, this is the workflow. We load up all of our plugins onto this one channel. We can mess with them here. We record our MIDI, and then we resample it into audio to commit it into its new track. And then we just keep on doing this. And I think this not only saves CPU resources, but it just makes you work faster because you're like committing things on the go. So let's just continue this process for a few more instruments and keep on building out this track. I'm going to go ahead and go back to device view on this electric grand, and I can select it. And then if I hit browse, we are hot swapping that plugin. So then we can come in here, go back to plugins to look through. And now let's load up. Let's see if we can find something in Contact. I'm sure we'll be able to. All right, so I'm getting kind of lost looking for instruments. I really like to spend a lot of time with choosing the sound before bouncing it, but we are not afforded that luxury today. So in sake of the video, I'm just going to choose some more sounds, add to this beat, and get it going to show you the final step of the workflow. All right, so let's bounce this real quick. And that actually did not go to 4 bars. I wonder why that did that. Sometimes I've found, like, I don't know if this is a bug or what. Anyway, let's try it again. All right, so we definitely got it there. Let's add this to a new scene. Or to a new track, call this pluck. Very good. Rename this to drums while we're here. And then we want to stop the MIDI, come up here, launch the scene. And we're back in Contact, so we can pick a new instrument and do the same thing. Okay, I need to stop getting distracted. You know what, Contact, you're bad for my video. I can't focus with Contact. Contact's too good. There's too many sounds. Okay, so we're on the device. Let's go ahead and browse to switch out Contact for. Do we want another plugin? Yeah, I think we do. We'll go with Massive and find a bass sound. All right, I think I'll just go with something like that. Okay, you know the drill. Drag this over, rename this to bass. Boom. Drag this MIDI down. And so then we also have the MIDI if we ever want to change the sound, but we're just moving on quickly and keep on going. So I'd continue this process, and I'd also add variations for each of these tracks with the sounds as I'm going. So it would be a much more in-depth. It would take a lot more time, obviously, but we're just going quickly for the sake of this video. And then once you're happy with the sounds that you've made, I like to do a little bit of mixing here in the session view. And the reason why I like to mix in the session view is because it separates it, because the plan here is to record a clip launching performance into the arrangement view, and then once we're in the arrangement view, we can finish up the arrangement as well as add automation. And so mainly mixing in the session view just separates mixing from automation. It makes me do better automation and more automation. And so finish your mixing in the session view. I think you'll thank me for it. So I'll quickly demonstrate what that would look like for this drums track. Let's add a compressor. So let's go into plugins, and we'll add the C1 compressor. Probably want to compress this like 4:1. We want the attack kind of long so that the transients sneak through. Alright, so there the transients mainly sneaking in. So we can just hold the mute button here, press on our device, and then we'll toggle it on and off. I think that compression sounds nice. So additionally, a really nice thing on the Ableton Push is the access to sends and return tracks. So let's go ahead and load up an empty return track, and we'll add a device. I want little plate reverb. So let's get little plate loaded up. All right, so now we have this on our return track. We want a pretty big decay. Let's go back to the mix tab and play around with this. I also like to send a little bit of my bass and a touch of the drums to the reverb, just so that everything sounds like it's kind of in the same room. It just gives it an extra nice layer of cohesion. So this is a really light way to mix. You know, we added some saturation on the bass, we added some reverb, and a little bit of compression on the drums. Obviously, I'd take a little bit more time, but for the sake of this video, let's move on. So the next thing I want to talk about with the push is the session view. So we can come over here and toggle clip twice up here to show the session view on the screen, and then we can also access session mode in the pads, and then we have our different clips, and we can record a clip launching performance. So let's go ahead and hit Shift Stop Clips to stop all clips and start from the top. And then once we're ready, we'll hit Shift Record to record a clip launching performance into the arrangement. So let's just go ahead and do that. So once you're finished recording, you can come back, hit the back to arrangement button, and we've got all of our clips here. We can flesh this arrangement out, add automation, like I said, and that is a really quick way to move with the Push 2. So that is my Push 2 workflow. If you want to see me go more in depth into the mixing or the beat making process where I make more variations, add more layers and all things like that, let me know in the comments and I'll do a bit more long form videos. But in this video, I really wanted to focus on the process and the steps involved in the Push 2, starting from the session view, having one MIDI track, bouncing that MIDI to audio, and keeping on going with that process, saving CPU, committing to ideas quickly, and overall just moving fast with the Push. So that's what's involved in my Push 2 workflow. Let me know if you found something that works a little bit better in the comments. Anyway, thank you for watching. Peace.